So this past weekend, we had the OLS number 18. Count them, 18. That's right. Finally go off, and pretty exciting stuff because this was the first ever OLS that we had a $100 prize pool, and it's looking like that's going to be the case for the foreseeable future. So awesome that we're able to do that for you guys and gals, and hopefully we'll get even more players the next OLS, which we had over 100 in this tournament, which, yeah, I know. Pretty freaking awesome. But I am here to bring you the top 8, that sweet top 8 footage, starting with WhatAmI versus Carsi here in the quarterfinals. Casting with Boulevard, as per usual. Shout out to Cal, Glass Joe for organizing the event, as well as Arc Zeno for contributing to the prize pool as well. Wouldn't have been possible without him. So, without further ado, let's see some sweet OLS action. WhatAmI versus Carsi. All right, let's go ahead, head on into the game. So game 1 here of OLS 18, everybody. We are in the quarterfinals. We're going to go through the entire top cut today, get all the action for you guys. Starting off with a pretty solid match with WhatAmI and Carsi. And yeah, you know, those Endure Spiders. Did we see it at all yesterday? At all?
No.
No, we didn't. So this
Definitely
is actually
not.
the first time. Okay.
Yeah, and Carsi's actually taking advantage of a new card in the pre-mulligan hand. We had the one copy of Evershade Stalker that's in the deck.
Okay, what is your thoughts on this card? Do you like it?
It's very slow. But a deck like Endure, I think, can afford to be a little bit slower, especially in a meta like this. I think that Endure is a really big risk to bring, specifically because we are this very Zoe-heavy meta, and that means a lot more Equinoxes than you would previously see. So if you're going to throw down Endure, you have to throw it down on that Atrocity turn if you think your opponent could have something like that in their hand.
All right, so the Shield Bearer getting started here, and then Grand Plaza as well. This feels a little bad losing the tempo, but I kind of like this from WhatAmI because you're never going to be in a good spot against Endure where you're not going to be behind on tempo to play this Grand Plaza, so you might as well get it down as early as possible and get as much use out of that Grand Plaza. And now that we have things like the Sunforger, like the Grizzled Ranger, I really actually like WhatAmI's spot. We can afford to take a little bit of damage. Obviously, we can block this Callista with something like the Shield Bearer. And yeah, I think we'll be able to withhold until later on in the game here with some of this lifesteal.
I think Carsi's trying to debate, you know, this top deck Wraithcaller looks like a really appealing pre-combat option, but if WhatAmI does throw down that Sunforger, you don't have anything on board that can even trade with that. The Plaza's going to put it up to 5 HP, and you're going to be dead in the water. It would be much better to try and force WhatAmI to use that on their turn, and then you have the Glimpse Beyond to actually go ahead and dodge that out, because there are no single combats or concerted strikes or anything in WhatAmI's hand just yet. But, you know, as you had mentioned, the open attack doesn't look super appealing. We are just going to get a kill onto the Callista, but putting your opponent down to 12 on turn 4, I mean, if you had to sacrifice a Callista to do it, it still feels like a pretty worthwhile investment.
Yeah, I got to agree. You know, any damage early on when you're playing Endure feels really good, especially if you're able to just be super aggressive early, and then you can actually use your Atrocity on just one of the larger units if you get your opponent, you know, down to that 4-3-2 health health range. But I don't know if that's ever a goal that you're going for versus this particular Grand Plaza deck. There's just so much lifesteal on top of Star Shaping. That ain't going to happen.
Yeah, this feels like a nearly impossible matchup for Carsi because, as you mentioned, you know, there's so much healing in the deck that it's very difficult to be able to use the Atrocity on something not named They Who Endure. But even just taking a look at WhatAmI's hand, there's already 2 Hush online. And now we know that there is a They Who Endure on top of the deck, so WhatAmI, you know, knows it's coming, can just hang on to this Hush, and it doesn't cost him anything to hang on to this Hush. It's so hard to accidentally tap yourself below 2 mana.
That is not cool, missing Allegiance. You know, when you play 3 of only 3 of the other region, you feel like you should always really be hitting it, and
yeah,
that's a really big miss there. You know, any sort of aggression that we were going to be able to win with here, it's just not going to happen now, I don't think.
No, I think that, man, I don't want to call Limbo just yet, but, oh man, is it close. And this is, on paper, this looks like an abysmal matchup for Carsi.
Yeah, I don't think... I got to agree. You know, because the only... So when you're playing this Grand Plaza deck with either Garen or Leona, we just talked about how they're basically both the same thing. Between Sunforger and Star Shaping, you have a lot of heal. Generally speaking, the only type of aggro decks that are going to win out versus this deck are something like discard aggro, right? Where it's just super hyper aggressive and you actually just do enough damage before. Even if they have 2 Star Shaping, you could probably still do enough damage to win the game. That's not what Endure does. It wants to outlast and eventually get an Atrocity onto a They Who Endure. But 3 copies of Hush, plenty of lifesteal, it just doesn't feel like a really good match whatsoever.
If Endure was going to win this match, I think it would have had to have been some kind of Blighted Caretaker combo early on with the Callista to get a nice level up, but the Callista's already gone, the Caretaker is too late, and this Endure is a non-factor.
Yeah, you have 3 Endure, I have 3 Hush. And...
I mean, like, this could be a really big swing, but if WhatAmI just wants to throw down this Sunforger, that's a potential 12 life gain thanks to that Concerted Strike in hand.
Yeah. And I think, so Carsi going for this too, I mean, it makes sense, right? You're not winning with They Who Endure because of Hush. So you have to kind of try to go wide and poke with these units, but this Sunforger, man, always comes in so clutch in so many of these matchups with this Grand Plaza deck.
Yeah, Carsi plays a lot of 1-drops too. And I think that's something that we see playing against him here. He's got the Hapless Aristocrat as well as the Warden's Prey on field. And that's just a few too many understated units. Even the Solari Priestess is going to be an effective blocker in taking out some of these things. Probably even going to throw it at the Caretaker. And I'm trying to math out if it's better for WhatAmI to actually throw out this Concerted Strike post-combat. And I think it is.
I think it is as well. But it looks like we are just going to go ahead. I mean, this guarantees the kill on the Abomination. I don't really know if there's anything Carsi would have anyways to save this or to be able to kill the Sunforger or the Badger Bear. And we see there's nothing in hand. So this is going to happen.
I think it's in case of Glimpse Beyond.
Okay.
You would rather just not take the damage than try to go for another big lifesteal push and have that denied. So this does make sense.
And it looks like we're thinking about Unspeakable Horror here, which doesn't do a whole lot. Or maybe is Carsi trying to
He's trying to dodge the lifesteal.
Yeah.
But, I mean, with the Concerted Strike already coming out, your opponent's going to go up to, I believe, 16 when all is said and done at the end of the turn. But I guess that's better than 20.
Yeah, I guess that's the consolation prize. But I do like that, though, at least avoiding that 6 lifesteal like you mentioned. So that is going to do a little bit of work. Essentially turning it into a 6 damage spell when all is said and done. But still going up to 16 here. We get another Garen off the top. We even have another Celestial in hand if we want. Actually, 2 more in the Priestess and the Traveler.
And I just want to point out, this Endure is up to an 11-11. So if this Hush were not here, this actually would have a pretty good shot at bringing Carsi back into the game. But that's why you don't see that much Endure these days. A lot of it does have to do with how Targon heavy the meta is.
No, you could say you could tell the truth. It's because it's just Hush. It's not Targon. It's literally just Hush.
Hush is a Targon card.
Just that one card. It's pretty rough for They Who Endure to deal with. But your favorite card, we're already seeing it in hand. We're seeing a lot more of this card nowadays, Boulevard. Judgment.
Yeah, the Traveler.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Maybe, just maybe, we'll get to see a big Judgment game, or Judgment play, I should say, at some point later on in this game, or maybe some future matches later on in the top cut.
I mean, Hush Judgment does seem like a pretty appealing line for the turn.
All right, another Blighted Caretaker. So these are the Blighted Caretakers that you're talking about early game. Coming down a little bit later now, though. Would have felt much better with something like Callista, but...
And Thorny Toad, just another really weak unit to come out of that Warden's Prey. You don't really care about what the last breath effect of the unit is. You just kind of care about the attack points on it. Okay, well, Judgment's still on the table, but I think Hush is a lot more likely.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. Yeah, Solari Priest is going to get written in the stars as well. So that could grab, again, either Garen or Aurelion Soul. It's probably more... Actually, is there any main deck Judgments in WhatAmI's deck? Or are those both Garens?
Those are both Garens.
These are both Garens. All right, so never mind. It's only going to grab an Aurelion Soul.
I think.
Yeah, they're both Garens Judgment.
Okay,
So,
yeah, he doesn't main tech judgment. I was pretty sure he didn't, but I was like, well, now that you mention it, actually, it's not the most wild concept I've ever heard of. Let me go check.
well, a lot of the early iterations, I think, of Garen Aurelion Sol specifically ran just one copy of Judgment. But hey, I mean, I guess this is just as good as running it. I mean, maybe that's one of the arguments to not run it, right?
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny. I don't know about you, but I feel like Garen is one of the champions that tends to have his champion spell in hand like more often than others. Like you tend to get 2 copies of Garen, maybe just because he costs a little bit more than some other champions.
Maybe. I don't know, man. I load up on Zoe's a lot.
Really?
Yeah, but that paddle star, it's got some good uses.
Yeah, we mentioned that yesterday. Actually, it's not doesn't seem like the greatest card on its own, but comes in clutch sometimes. Some of these matchups.
Yeah, so Carsi actually didn't attack with the They Who Endure there. I think just really understanding that there's a very high chance that there's a Hush in my opponent's hand, but you never get around that.
All right.
Instead, just saying, you know what, I will play it on defense. No need to. I would rather lose my units on defense than offense.
Yeah.
At least I have them as a blocker. But now the Aurelion Soul actually just bigger than the They Who Endure. And this is another reason that we don't see this deck, right? They Who Endure is not the biggest fish in the sea. This Aurelion Soul just gets to attack it this turn. And now the one hope that it felt like Carsi maybe had was getting more Endures than WhatAmI has Hushes in hand. But with the first one being taken care of without a Hush, that's no longer an option.
Yeah, wow, this is gonna feel really bad losing a They Who Endure to this Aurelion Soul here. And that's the thing too, like you're never on the side of Carsi, you're never getting these Hushes out of WhatAmI until you're actually attacking with the They Who Endure or using Atrocity, right? Like that those are his I win the game no matter what cards. Like he doesn't play those unless it's to prevent losing the game.
Yeah, and speaking of preventing yourself from losing the game, Carsi once again using Unspeakable Horror to dodge a strike from WhatAmI. These cards just not getting any value, and that one didn't have a chance to Nightfall it, so no additional card going to come out. I cannot think of any sequence of top decks that Carsi could have that would help them win the game, especially with the Aurelion Soul leveling. This SJW has been an absolute slaughter to start off the day.
Yeah, I actually can't even believe this Aurelion Soul was managed to level up. That's insane. But yeah, this we knew going into this. You know, the lifesteal was the first thing. So any early aggression, which is kind of there's 2 ways for They Who Endure to win, right? There's They Who Endure and Atrocity as a combo together, and then there's also just being super aggressive in the early turns of the game with Callista, Bloody Caretaker, that kind of stuff, Doom Beast, and literally WhatAmi's deck has both counters to both of those win conditions very directly too in lifesteal and Hush, and it's just I mean I would be safe to say this is a matchup that They Who Endure almost never wins too. Like this might be kind of like a 20-80 deal going on here.
Yeah, it's really rough on every account, and here we're going to see the Supernova. Oh, do you have Atrocity? Well, I still have Hush on backup. So 2 Endures are dead. No Hushes have been used.
Oh, by the way, that Supernova was free.
And the Scourge, also free.
That's free too. Like, I gotta give credit. I'm surprised Carsi lasted this long without surrendering, but and is still playing it out because, you know, you had mentioned Limbo a little bit earlier. I think you were spot on there. And at this point, it doesn't really matter what Am I grabs. We're just going in for an attack next turn.
Yeah.
But hey, we get to pick off the Stellaris Sunforger. Woo!
Yeah, push a little bit of damage at that Scourge as well. It's so weird to me that for how much of a keyword soup the Great Beyond is, the Scourge only has 1 keyword for being the 10-cost Celestial.
Yeah, like you figure maybe that's the change they make, just swap the costs.
I've heard that. I don't know how much that matters. It certainly is a problem when Great Beyond comes down earlier than you anticipate, and between Mountain Scryer and Eclipse Dragon and Moonsilver even, there's a lot of ways to make that happen.
All right, I'm pretty bad at math, but I think that's more than 20.
Yeah, double Scourge is a rough thing to try and live through. And now what am I saying? Look, I had the Hush anyway.
Oh, you should just play it all out. I was gonna say just play the other Hush too, just to like show them. Listen, you were screwed. And for anybody actually wondering about what Casman mentioned in chat too, speaking of double Hush, if we were to throw both of them out, you can actually unhush a Hushed unit because it treats silence as a keyword currently, and
I don't think that's it. I think it's that you can't silence a unit that's already been silenced.
You can't silence a unit that's already been silenced.
Which has two extremely relevant use cases. One, I attack with Shen Fiora. My Fiora has barrier. You silence it. If I repost it, you cannot re-silence it to get rid of that barrier.
Oh,
And
gotcha. Okay, yes.
number two, if you Moonlight Affliction, you cannot hush your unit to remove the can't block keyword because the unit has already been silenced.
So it's like it's basically the game saying silence can only be a one-time thing per turn.
Yeah.
Or actually, on the case of like Equinox, I guess if you Equinox a unit, it's permanently silenced. You'll never be able to
hush it again. Which means that I can slap a bunch of keywords and stats on that thing, which is interesting because in most card games, keywords stack, and people don't realize that because it's irrelevant. In Magic the Gathering, if your unit has 15 instances of flying, that doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but that is a bug that is pretty well known at this point. I know a lot of people were talking about it on Twitter as well. So we'll see if that's going to come into play at all in this tournament. And I know there was some questions as it was that intended or not, but that very much feels like a not intended game thing there. I mean, that doesn't sound like it's the way that it should work. But we do. Yeah. Fortunately, thank you, WhatAmI, for being somebody who brought Timo Sejuani. We talked about this deck a lot yesterday. And, it's funny. I guess the real big thing to mention there is the fact that we even talked about it in a competitive sense. That's the big thing that we're mentioning is, this deck has always seemingly been a meme deck. And it's not anymore. It's in the top cut. It's not here by accident. It does work. It does a good job, and it wins games with shrooms, with mushrooms, with Timo. So really fun to see this deck in action. Unfortunately, only one in the top cut being played by WhatAmI, but we did see a lot in day one of the tournament.
And I got to say, I'm curious about how this matchup is going to play out because, for the most part, there's no way around the Sejuani for Carsi. You don't have an opportunity to hush the Sejuani to stop her effect from going off if the way that she triggered was by you drawing a mushroom for turn. And of course, hushing your own Fiora, also not a great option. But we do have the Sparklefly online, so the Timo shouldn't be able to run away with the game for WhatAmI, at least this time around.
Yeah, and now, and on the flip side of Carsi, this standalone deck, which we actually didn't see at all during the first day. I'm not sure how many people might have played this.
Probably only one.
Yeah, probably only Carsi. Probably not a lot of people. But I have seen this before. This is another fun deck to play as well. But it's going to be interesting because there are a lot of, I wouldn't say small units in WhatAmI's deck as far as Timo Sejuani is concerned. But there are units that are plenty killable with, a Fiora that has Mentor on it or Standalone or something like that. These Puffcat Peddlers, these Ice Veil Archers, the Ballistic Bots. So, I can't really say who's got the advantage, but I don't think Carsi... I think Carsi has a good shot at winning this game.
Yeah, so one thing that I did want to touch on before we get into this is you and I had theorized beforehand that this standalone deck was going to get banned, and it didn't, which means there was actually Twisted Fate Swain that Carsi was not allowed to play. As far as how this matchup goes, I would actually say it's probably going to be Carsi favored because WhatAmI has so many backline units that he wants to protect and not a lot of actual removal, and Fiora should just have an absolute field day, assuming that you can get enough buffs up onto her that she will survive dealing with all of these 3 attack units, which shouldn't be too hard. I mean, that's kind of the name of the game for your deck, right? But I don't know if Sparklefly is going to be enough to get it done because there are a decent amount of Frostbite effects in WhatAmI's deck. I think that going for the Fiora win condition is just a little bit safer.
Yeah, the Frostbite is something to consider there as well, even the Troll Chant. And I was just going to say, do we stand alone the Sparklefly and go all in on the Sparklefly strategy,
Seems
or
to
do
be
we
the
go Fiora? And yeah, it's going to be Sparklefly. Let's see if Sparklefly can carry the world on its back for Carsi and fly his way to a victory. This is gonna be interesting to see Sparklefly win here.
Yeah, there's no Frostbite, at least in the meantime, in the hand of WhatAmI, so this is going to be a problem. And I think if you are all ending on the Sparklefly, it doesn't even necessarily feel bad to just try and use these Fioras to take out, just use them to manage the Ballistic Bots and these Puffcat Peddlers and things like that.
Oof, 7/7. So this, if there is another buff, something like Laurent Protege, which we see there, or sorry, that's not Laurent Protege, that's Laurent
Chevalier.
Chevalier? No.
You can
Blade
hover.
Keeper.
I can hover.
Blade
It's
Keeper.
Blade Keeper.
It's an elite guy thing, or actually, it's a not elite guy. It's like the one guy that's not the elite tag.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if we get that buff onto the Sparklefly, plus another gem, that's just going to be done next turn. So that's going to be a really quick win if that's the case for Carsi, or that's at least going to get a troll chant out of WhatAmI just to live.
So I don't love what Carsi did there. I actually wanted to see all 3 gems used on the Sparklefly, put it to 9 attack, and put WhatAmI on a 2-turn clock as opposed to a 3-turn clock.
Well, he's technically still on a 2-turn clock, right? Like I mentioned, if we use the Laurent plus other gems, you can still kill next turn.
Yeah, but there are frostbite effects that you need to be wary of. So I want to just, I mean, maybe it is a little bit fine. You know, we're probably gonna have to run this Blade Keeper. My concern is that with this Hex Core Foundry on field, we've got to empty our hand as quickly as possible. And committing 4 mana to the Blade Keeper seems like a fair amount.
Yeah, that actually could pose a problem. It's one of the odd things about playing against Teemo Sejuani is hand management, which you're not typically having to worry about, except for very specific decks, like the late game decks, like Spooky Karma, stuff like that tend to have large hands. So we'll see if that comes into play here with something like that Laurent in hand.
Okay, so not even using the Hush to make sure that we get the kill on the Ballistic bot.
Yeah. Yeah,
and the double gem would have made it so that you were in range to kill the bot anyway. WhatAmI wouldn't have even had the chance to protect it. But yeah, just Carsi saying, actually, I don't care that much about killing this bot, and I'm really curious as to what we're saving this Hush for. I would imagine, and this is a bit of a scary prospect, and I'm not sure if this is correct, but when Sejuani comes down, you could Hush your own Sparklefly to remove the vulnerable tag. And then it doesn't matter how much damage you take this turn, you know, WhatAmI can do with all of his units. You're just going to, you know, lifesteal another 9, 10 HP on the following turn.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, and I think maybe that's the plan that Carsi's going for, is because we actually see 2 great top decks with WhatAmI, right? We have 2 Flash Freeze. So this is going to allow WhatAmI to live through, you know, these multiple, what would be Sparklefly attacks. And I guess the idea is on Carsi's side, if we're always attacking with Sparklefly, we're either threatening lethal or getting a freeze effect out of WhatAmI, which is just resources that are used on nothing. And Carsi won't ever really die until a very late portion in the game because we're always life-stealing back a big chunk of health.
I think the problem is with the 2 Flash Freezes, with the Ice Veil, with the Sejuani, I think that WhatAmI has enough Frostbite that this Sparklefly isn't going to get any lifesteal off for, if WhatAmI chooses it, the next 4 or 5 turns. And I think between going wide on board and the mushrooms in Carsi's deck, you can definitely kill them without, you know, if they can't lifesteal for 5 turns.
Well, here's the Fiora. And we're going to respond with the Ignition. So this will put the Ballistic Bot up to 2. I'm curious to see what this Fiora might go after next turn as well. And same deal with the Flash Freeze. I mean, that's going to prevent the Fiora from really doing any work here. We also can't use... I thought we had a standalone in hand earlier on. I guess not.
We used it on the Sparklefly.
Oh, it was used on the Sparklefly. That's right.
Yeah, that's how it got so big.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not used to seeing these standalones get played again. Rip when it used to cost 3 mana.
So the Relentless Pursuit, I would imagine, is going to get negated by this Ice Veil Archer. Yeah.
Yep.
And actually, I don't know if WhatAmI had to do it there, because, you know, as I had mentioned earlier, not using the double gem means that for 2 mana, there's no way for this Sparklefly to actually represent lethal. I guess you're worried about the open attack on the following turn. You don't want to have to commit your Frostbite effects just yet, but...
I mean, if we okay, so but if we use the 2 gems here and attack for 2, now we have lethal next turn. So
yeah, and then we Flash Freeze it.
Yeah. So
I guess the problem is, you know, the Fiora's Riposte, the Sharp Sight, there are things that we can do to actually get it back up to 2 or so attack. So yeah, you're right. This makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and this actually feels good for Carsi because we did not gem up the Sparklefly. Okay.
WhatAmI? Oh, no, he's out of mana. Never mind.
No, yeah, he didn't have mana. I was going to say, I mean, it's good for Carsi because we attack with the Fiora. We know there's going to be no response with a Flash Freeze or anything, but I'm really surprised we didn't see the gems on the Sparklefly.
I guess just banking that mana into next turn.
We technically, is there some other way, like, let's say there's 1 Frostbite. There's Sharp Sight plus Riposte is 5. No, you see, we still don't have enough. Or I guess no, because then the Hush is gonna put it back to one attack. So I don't know. Just seems weird to me. Did we just? That's
There's
just a
no
spellcast.
universe where this thermo beam kills anything, so we might as well use it
Yeah.
just to get the 3 mushrooms in, because this Sejuani is pretty close to leveled up, and I think that if Carsi can establish a leveled Sejuani, or if WhatAmI can get a leveled Sejuani and still be at this 10 HP, I don't know if Carsi can come back from that.
Yeah, and we're on. So just update. So we have 16 puff caps in Carsi's deck, with 27 cards left. So right now, I mean, you might draw one every turn, you might not. It's kind of 50-50 there.
Yeah.
So not too much of a threat now, but yeah, like you mentioned, Sejuani on 3 out of 5, man. It's so hard to prevent the Sejuani level up versus this deck, if at all, if you can even prevent it, which I don't think you can.
No, between Ballistic Bot and the Shrooms, it's nearly impossible, and actually going to take a fair amount of the damage hanging onto this Fiora, which I thought if this Fiora is going in at something next turn, it's probably the Puffcap Peddler, so I am surprised not to see a block there from Carsi. Maybe just really wanting to hang on to the Riposte in hand?
Well, he might also just be thinking that, I mean, the Sparklefly is going to heal him back up theoretically, right? But, I mean, obviously there's Frostbite, then that's not going to happen, and I think that is something that Carsi, I think, has to be well aware of. Like, although the Sparklefly can keep him in the game, even just, like, if you get too low and you run into a Flash Freeze and you don't get the lifesteal that you were thinking you were going to get one turn, all right, now all of a sudden these Shrooms are going to be a big deal because you got 2 more draws without getting that lifesteal.
Yeah. And for me, it was even less about the life points and just I figured this Fiora is probably going to kill the Puffcap Peddler. Why not do it there? Are we going to try and protect this Fiora, make it live a little bit longer? Go in for that 2-front assault of, hey, I have both Sparklefly and Fiora that are threatening to win the game, because that is, going to burn out the Frostbite resources of WhatAmI a lot faster. Mm-hmm. And critically, Carsi did not draw a mushroom this turn, so that Sejuani's still only sitting at 3 out of 5.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty big deal. That means 3. So it would be his next attack turn would be the earliest that that WhatAmI. So on Carsi's next attack turn, WhatAmI
would be the earliest that the Sejuani could level.
Yeah. Yep. So a lot of decisions to make here from Carsi too. Like, if you look at the resources as well, one of the reasons why Hexcore Foundry is so useful and is basically required in this deck, you run out of tools real quick. Playing Teemo Sejuani, even the tools in hand that we have, these 2 Shrooms are basically nothing cards. They just, they go towards the win condition, obviously, but they don't do anything now. And even this Chump Wump, it's going to provide a blocker. Doesn't really help with the elusive. We're going to start to run out of tools, I think. So I'm curious to see Carsi drawing another Sparklefly. Might be a good idea to maybe get it down, to kind of threaten both Sparkleflies as some aggressive threats there, but I just feel like that might get the freezes out a little bit faster from WhatAmI to really start to pressure him.
I think what Carsi's debating right now is, do I try and actually go for lethal with the Sparklefly, or do I try and add some protection onto the Fiora and, go in for the attack with the Sparklefly, not represent lethal, level up my Fiora, once again, not representing lethal, but setting myself up for a safer line of play into future turns, or do I just greed it all out and go for it here?
Yeah. I mean, if Carsi attacks with the 7 attack Sparklefly, all right. So here's the Laurent. We're gonna commit this 4 mana here.
Yeah. So we've given up on lethal for the turn.
Yeah.
Which honestly, given WhatAmI's hand, this line of play does play better into everything that WhatAmI is holding.
And so I was gonna say, if the Sparklefly attacks with 7 attack, that still might get a Frostbite out of WhatAmI just to save the 7 damage.
Yeah, and then you're probably not going to want to commit both Frostbites onto the Sparklefly and the Fiora, so the Fiora is probably going to level this turn. And then, I mean, we have a single combat in hand, we have a Riposte, like, this Fiora might be able to take it away. Sejuani's a card that only works once, so when she Frostbites at the start of the turn, you can, Riposte the Fiora later on, and it's going to take another Frostbite attack, or effect, to get that 3 attack off of her. And with this 1 HP Iceveil Archer still sitting around, I think there's a very good chance that the Fiora win con is going to be how this game ends.
Yeah, so maybe, which is interesting considering the first thing standalone was played on was a Sparklefly. Yeah. All right, yeah, we are going to actually Frostbite the Fiora, though. So, with you just having said that, WhatAmI, I guess, recognizing that Fiora is probably the route that Carsi's going to take, and we're going to prioritize that over our health total, which is concerning to say the least, but you got to do what you got to do. We have to get this Sejuani online, I think. If it doesn't go online by Carsi's next attack turn and get a freeze off, I think there's going to be some serious problems for WhatAmI.
No, I agree, and I'm curious now that we are. This is why people have always kind of considered Teemo Sejuani a meme deck. We're currently at 25 cards in deck for Carsi with 27 puff caps.
Yeah.
And if Carsi does not draw the statistically likely puff cap, things get a lot worse for WhatAmI.
All right, we drew a puff cap. All right, so that is much better for WhatAmI. Things are looking up. We're 4 out of 5. But I still think we're really heavily reliant on Carsi drawing a puff cap the next turn.
Yeah.
And, yep, that's why we are seeing this Sejuani come down. I guess the question now is, do we try to kill the Sejuani on the side of Carsi?
I don't think it's... It's hard to say that it's not a big deal.
I mean, yeah. I mean, because it's not a big deal now, and then it gets leveled up, and then all of a sudden we're screwed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess that's kind of the consideration. I like this, just passing back on over. So that's good.
So something that's really relevant here, we talked about the Hush bug going into this match, is that Carsi does not have the option to Hush a Frostbitten unit and then Hush away a second Frostbite effect. Something that we've seen come up quite a bit in the past.
Yep. And we do have 2 Hush in hand. And there is the second Sparklefly that I mentioned earlier. So plenty of elusive units now as well. I'm really curious to see how Carsi's going to line up some of these blocks. I mean, that's why we didn't attack with the Lorette last turn. We do need some sort of blocker here. There is this overwhelm to deal with too from the Sejuani.
I think Carsi might just take the damage. Sejuani has already dealt her damage for the turn, so she's already at that 4 out of 5. That's not going to change no matter how much we take this turn.
So now this might be the turn that you were talking about too, though, Boulevard, a long time ago, where maybe we end up hushing the Sparklefly here to make sure that the Sejuani can't pull it with Vulnerable. I don't know if that's going to be the play.
Yeah, I think that Riposte is just a little bit more likely, but at the same time, you do want to be able to hang... Actually, Guiding Touch should save this.
Oh, yeah, Guiding Touch does it. It's actually, I think, what is that, 7 health when everything is said and done? So
the Riposte is a little bit safer if you're worried about a follow-up of Mystic Shot or Thermogenic Beam. Well, Thermo Beam, this thing's dead no matter what. So, yeah, I guess you might as well Guiding Touch, right? And even if there's a Mystic Shot, then you still have the Sharp Sight to get it back out of range thanks to the Tough keyword.
Yeah, I think you're A-okay to Guiding Touch this. I think you're right. And that is it's a decent, I don't want to say blowout, but it's definitely a big win for Carsi to be able to keep that around and have that large attack again next turn. But there's still, even if Sejuani doesn't level up, we still have a Harsh Winds and a Flash Freeze, which will actually, with 12 mana next turn, we will have plenty of mana to spend on both of these.
Yeah. But now Carsi has found a third avenue of attack. You know, the Fiora didn't really work out last turn. I think that with it not leveling on the previous turn, it's pretty unlikely that that's a win con. But now the Zoe's at 3 out of 10. And this is a deck that plays enough elusives and, you know, can just invoke elusives on its own that is suddenly another win condition because there's no healing in WhatAmi's deck. He is permanently at 3, and that means that Ripostes are going to be threatening lethal from here on out.
Man, this top deck Shroom is going to be a big deal. So again, just all right, we got 34 with 23 cards left. Oh,
very good chance, and we miss it.
2 draws and we miss even 1 puff cap.
Carsi should be almost at a point where he's drawing 2 puff caps per card, but instead completely whiffs. And this is why this was considered a meme deck for so long. The inherent inconsistencies of the way that the deck plays, you know, just working out here for Carsi. And I would imagine that Fiora might even go in at that Sejuani, just be another target that demands a Frostbite.
Wow, that feels terrible for WhatAmI. So now we are essentially tasked with needing to live through this turn somehow. Which I think is very doable thanks to the Harsh Winds and the Troll Chant and the Flash Freeze. We can actually play all of those this turn.
I don't think you can live the turn and keep the Sejuani.
And, well, let's see. This puts the Sejuani up to 6. Are we going to Flash Freeze the Fiora as well, it looks like?
If we do, we lose.
Yeah, and I think, oh, wait. Yeah, because of the Riposte. Yep.
And and Carsi only has the one spell here. So if you do go for the riposte on to say the Sparkle Fly, the Flash Freeze is going to come out, which honestly I don't think I mind. It is a second copy of Fiora, but I don't know how much you really care about hanging on to Fiora at this point.
Yeah, and what am I lucky too? Because if something like there could very easily in Carsi's hand be Sharp Sights and riposts.
So Carsi has lethal. Here's what you do: you riposte. Nope.
No, I'm pretty sure we don't have lethal.
So what I'm thinking is you can hush the Zoe and the Sparkle Fly, and that represents 3 damage. Okay, yeah, this is how you find lethal. Now the Frostbite's going to come out onto Zoe. You double hush. Carsi found it. Okay. I knew that there was a way, but I couldn't articulate it. Carsi can, and that's why he's going to win this game.
Yeah, we'll see if he does it. Yep, here comes the first hush. Yeah, and that's going to be the exact 3 damage coming out from Carsi. And unfortunately for WhatAmI, just not even going to make it to the next turn to see if we can draw some shrooms.
Yeah.
God, does that feel so bad. That would have made that turn incredibly different.
But I'm pretty sure Teemo Sejuani has no problem with indoor spiders. It's going to take a pretty high roll early game out of Carsi, and granted, he has built a pretty high rolly early game deck. We have a big sacrificial package here. The triple Bark Beast, the triple Hapless, the Warden's Prey, 3 Butcher, the Cursed Keeper, even this Evershade Stalker. But it's going to have to be a really, really aggressive opener for Carsi, because the amount of Frostbite effects just in the main deck for WhatAmI should make the indoor not too much of a problem.
Well, I don't know. So that's something to consider, though, right? I mean, you mentioned it being really aggressive early on. If it does get kind of that aggressive high, which is not, by the way, this is not like a low probability for Endor to get this aggressive start. I mean, the Frostbite's might not be enough. I mean, it really depends on, because you're looking at multiple saplings that are coming down. If we do get something like Blighted Caretaker plus Callista, I don't think there's enough Frostbite in the world for this Teemo Sejuani deck to really make it, to about turn 7 or so where the Sejuani would start to come online.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. If Carsi doesn't get Caretaker Callista, I don't know if they can actually cobble together a win.
You're saying all right? So you think Endor might not even be able to win if Caretaker Callista comes online early?
No. I think you need.
You think you
Callista,
need it? Okay.
And if you don't get that, you are in a very disadvantageous position.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I agree. But so isn't that kind of what we were? Now the last matchup was it was way worse. It was 80-20 basically, not in favor of Endor. This particular matchup is probably a little bit more even, but. Is that just what Endor needs to win now, though? We just always have to get Blighted Caretaker plus Callista or bust?
I mean, how much Endor have you been seeing these days?
I agree. Again, we talked about Hush, so but yeah, it just feels bad when we're just constantly. I just try to take note of that when we're talking about decks. We always, we cast multiple games of the same deck over and over again all the time. It happens all the time. And when we're saying the same thing, they lost because of this. Oh, they lost because of this. It's well, how good is that deck really if we always just need this one exact combo to really make things work, right? So, all right. Well, it looks like they probably had to restart client because we all know how that goes right now with
yeah.
with
I can currently challenge. Tell you what, Carsi, you have to play Game 3 against me.
Yeah, plot twist, ladies and gentlemen. So, if you are just joining us, we are about to get into Game 3 of WhatAmI and Carsi. This is for the quarterfinals of the OLS number 18. I'll bring it back on over to us while we wait there for a little bit. And it's been a hell of a tournament. We had a long first day, about an 8-hour first day. We had 7 rounds of Swiss with over 100 players. Again, the prize pool is now up to $100, so $55 to first place to be exact. So that's kind of what everybody is fighting for here. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see who's going to be able to take this one home for OLS 18. And again, if anybody wants to go ahead, we got this new thing happening now. If you guys want to go ahead and donate, use the donate button below this window on the stream. Anything you guys donate will go towards the prize pool of the next OLS that we do, which will also be a $100 prize pool. As well, so pretty excited to see the community grow for OLS here.
And that's what you can do with your real world money. If you're
Yeah.
like, oh, how do I donate, but I don't have real world money? You can donate your channel points to make us do something stupid on broadcast.
Yes, that's a very good point, Boulevard. And that's probably the more important one here. Not for nothing. So right now, if you do donate all your channel points, which I did see a couple people start to do again, you can basically get myself and Boulevard, when we hit that goal, to cast an entire match. What tournament yet? We don't know. That's to be determined.
It'll probably be the last round of an OLS like we did for the SMR challenge.
Probably, yeah. Something in the... last round of Swiss, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get us to cast an entire match by not using card names. We're not allowed to use card names the entire time. We have to use only movie actors, video game names, and anime character names. So it should be more so a challenge for us. I'm really...
Yeah.
I'm a little worried about that.
I actually, you know how constantly, ever since the great Blevins, the legendary Legends of Runeterra caster, referred to 3 Badger Bears as a scrum of Badger Bears, we've been kind of finding cool names for 3 of cards, and I think I have the perfect one for Leviathan, but I don't think we're ever gonna get 3 Leviathan on board.
3? Oh God. So wait, I thought 3 Leviathans pretty easy. That's just a fleet of Leviathans, right?
No. I've got something better, but I can't do it until we see it happen.
You
so
don't
for
want
the
to
rest of the year, just in the back of your head, just keep in mind that if 3 Leviathans come down, let me pop off.
All right, I'm reared and ready to go for that one. All right, so we got this glorious Teemo deck again. Already starting with the emotes on the side of Carsi.
Okay, this is the kind of hand that we needed out of Carsi. We've got Bark Beast, Curse Keeper, Caretaker with, very, very importantly, the attack token on 3.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I'm really glad that you mentioned that, Boulevard, because with this deck in particular, I think it's very important where the attack token lies. And that is, evident in some other decks as well, but man, Bloody Caretaker on turn 3 with those 2 saplings is just devastating, especially with Cursed Keeper leading into it. Especially when you're picking off a Teemo as well.
Yeah, and I mean, because we didn't bank any spell mana, if we want to protect this Teemo, it means that we cannot get down Hexcore Foundry or Puffcap Peddler. And either way, this is going to be a lot of damage coming in. I mean, there is an argument to play the Peddler just so that, we're not going to ping it off with 1 damage. So the 2 damage doesn't mean too much, although there are 2 Unspeakable Horrors in this deck. I know that there was something I was thinking of that those were going to come up in handy for, and it was probably just killing Teemos. But we do get the Troll Chant, and that means that's WhatAmI's turn. Whatever piece of action he wants to play next turn, be it... I mean, can you even play the Foundry in this matchup, SJW? Carsi's playing like 12 1-drops.
No, see, this is what we mentioned earlier with just falling behind on tempo. And this particular matchup, no, I think the second you take 3 mana to not develop a unit, Carsi just does what he's doing. Like, imagine if we just developed Foundry there. Like, we're taking a ton of damage next turn, and that's just way too much. We have Thermo Beam to get rid of at least the Miswraith if we want to right now. Yeah, and I think we do have to. And we have Troll Chant.
But next turn, I mean, Carsi has Bark Beast, Curse Keeper, Ravenous Butcher.
Oh, man.
And I think even, barring the fact that a second Bark Beast for Carsi.
Wow.
I don't think you can get all of that down, though. I think that board space does mean you only get to play 1 Bark Beast, or you miss out on the 4/3.
You could you can't actually overwrite it before you play it, I think.
Yeah.
So
although now, I guess it's not out of the question that we go, maybe double Bark Beast Kerpier, overwrite the Wraith Caller just to get an extra attacker in this turn. But
now that it's
I think I still like getting the 4/3 down.
Yeah, I think. I mean,
this does just seem better.
Yep.
It's a little less aggressive on this turn. Actually, it's probably just as aggressive on this turn specifically. But I mean, WhatAmI starting to fumble, and I wouldn't be surprised if we just never play this Hexcore Foundry. I think that there are too many low drop threats in Carsi's deck that he actually is the kind of thing that's going to get to overwhelm you with just a super wide board if you let him draw 2 cards a turn.
Man, this feels so bad. I mean, so we are mitigating a bit of damage here. Looks like we can also save 2 units, which is a pretty big deal. So this isn't a bad trade per se for WhatAmI. So we're still in this sort of, but
if WhatAmI can find a Sejuani maybe we start throwing down Hex Core Foundries, because now we have the level Teemo. We can actually double up the puff caps to 28 on the following turn. But even if we find the Sejuani, I think we're going to need at least 2 Teemo hits before we feel comfortable throwing down Hex Core Foundries. But I mean, honestly, WhatAmI might have to throw them down soon, because he just doesn't have the card quality to actually survive here.
Okay, Harsh Winds is big, though. That is definitely a card that will allow you to live, and I think that means we will get a Hex Core down here. Because what else do you have to spend your mana on?
Yeah, WhatAmI needs to start drawing cards.
Yeah. Okay, so this is by no means over because of this Harsh Winds. I think we always live next turn. We're gonna have to Harsh Winds if this They Who Endure comes down to They Who Endure. We're probably gonna have to we're gonna toss down both Hex Cores.
Yep.
So let's see. We need a spell. We need some sort of other free spell here. Wow, the third Hex Core feels
They
so
Who
bad.
Endure number 2 for Carsi.
Jesus.
What? That was a decent
lot
amount
of
of damage actually pushed through. Yeah, that was 4 damage that Carsi took at the start of the turn. I think maybe even more.
I'm looking at the draws, and all of a sudden I look up and Carsi's at 9, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, I mean, so that Teemo will put him down to 7, and then that's 44 shrooms in a 27 card deck drawing 3 cards a turn. WhatAmI might actually have this one, but I don't think that Teemo lives through this turn.
Well, I think if you let's see if you can block the 2-1 with the Elixir of Iron plus the Harsh Winds. If you Harsh Winds, yeah, I think you can. Hold on, we all know how bad I am at math. If you Teemo block the 2-1, the Bloody
That turns on Bark Beast.
Oh, that is going to turn on Bark Beast. Okay, then you Harsh Winds the Callista and the and
even if you try not to turn on Bark Beast, Carsi does have Glimpse Beyond.
Yeah, that's exactly 7. So you do have to block the 4/3. So you can't save. Yeah. So I do think there's no way around this, unfortunately.
No, it's really going to come down to, can WhatAmI get Sejuani? But even then, Carsi has the option to play They Who Endure after the Sejuani is frostbitten the board for the turn. Assuming that there's a shroom coming off the top on the same turn that the Sejuani comes down. But I think Sejuani's still okay. She's at 4 out of 5, so she should be leveled by next turn. It'd be kind of crazy if she wasn't.
Wait, why are you? Oh, just for the shrooms. Okay. Yeah. So I was just gonna say, how WhatAmI wins this? He wins this entirely on shrooms.
Yeah. And it's not impossible. It's a bit of a scary prospect, and 9 does seem low, but that's still half the life total of Carsi.
Well, and we're going to get 3 draws this next turn, plus we're going to drop another Hex Core. That's 4 draws. So we have 7 draws and 9 health. That's actually, odds-wise, probably statistically likely to happen.
Yeah, and I think probably statistically likely to happen is what a lot of Teemo Sejuani players have said right before they died. And Neverglade Collector is going to make this even harder for Carsi. I think that we might actually... Did we win this turn? Okay, yeah, so we could actually play Collector, Glimpse Beyond a unit, Black Spear another unit for lethal.
Yeah. Wow, wait, Neverglade, so that one snuck in there. I didn't...
It's a one-of.
Yeah, that is a very interesting choice in this deck, which, I mean, interesting because we don't usually see it much anymore, but it is a deck that... Ooh, wait, do we...
Oh, this is a problem. This could turn off the Black Spear. I mean, oh no, it turns off the Black Spear. You still just go in for lethal on the following turn. This Collector means that, actually, yeah, even if you just attack the Callista now, you lose because you take an additional 1 damage. I don't think there's any way that WhatAmI can come out of this, and that means that the Neverglade Collector should be lethal for Carsi, yeah, and with it... Oh.
What is he playing?
He's playing Glimpse Beyond on the Callista, which is the one way he doesn't win this turn.
Well, no, he could still... Oh, no, because that Black Spear is going to go ahead and go back into... Okay, no, he's good.
The Callista being frostbitten is actually really good for him as well, because WhatAmI can't attack that.
Yeah.
So it guarantees that you get the Black Spear off this turn, and there's Atrocity...
Oh!
It doesn't matter, though. We just Black Spear at fast speed. We can't even attack with Sejuani, because if if Carsi blocks with anything, we just lose,
die.
So...
And we can't, yeah, I was going to say maybe we vulnerable something that had lower health, but yeah, there it is.
Yep.
Oh, man. That actually was a lot closer than I had thought it was going to be with the first hand of Carsi. Carsi's first hand was nuts.
Yeah, and WhatAmI, drawing 2 Foundry that early on really played against him, I think. That is an unfortunate loss for him, but it does mean that Carsi... And Their very unique lineup of standalone TF Swain and Endure Spiders is going to be moving on to the top 4.
Man, so Carsi taking it home there. I was really hoping WhatAmI with that Teemo Sejuani deck would be able to make it pretty far. We actually saw a fair amount of Teemo Sejuani in the entire tournament. So pretty cool to see that actually be a competitive deck. Wow. So times have changed, man. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And as always, everybody, stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you. And peace out.